record on this computer.
Out to Airbnb, which they did.
Okay, hey, somebody's got a recording or a newscast or something. If you could please mute, that would be great. Or, you know, just lower your volume. And okay, so we're getting started, and I'll keep an eye out. I think we have, is Jeremy on? No.
Don't see him.
I thought I heard him, but I guess not. Okay, so if Jeremy, whenever he joins, we'll just ask him to maybe. Oh, by the way, home one, was that who is that person, please?
Hi, Steve.
Hi, who is this?
Home one, you need to put your name up.
Yeah, if home one, if you could just hover over your picture.
Sorry about that.
No problem. And up there on the upper right-hand corner, when you hover over home one, you'll see an ellipsis, which is a fancy word for 3 dots. You click on the 3 dots, and the little drop-down will show rename. So you can go ahead and rename in there. Just put your name, your call sign, something so we know who's there, and appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, so I sent out, like I said, a little agenda. We don't have to stick with it, but it gives us a little bit of structure. And, you know, we're going to be going over our business part of the meeting first, and then after that, we can talk videos or just troubleshooting or questions about ham radio that we all have. So do we want to plow right in and go into the next group of officers? I think that was an outstanding point that we left from the last time. And everybody was given the assignment, I guess, to just, hey, think about who you want to be president, if you want to be president or secretary and so on. So we can go ahead and have the nominations now and the election, and we can see who are the slate of officers for next for this coming year. So hopefully we all did that. And I was emailing with, hey, Valentin, haven't seen you in a while. Good deal.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, good. So yeah, I think it was Kenny that mentioned something about, am I running for this year? And just to clarify, I'm currently the president, but the idea is that my first choice is to let somebody else try this out and have the experience. It's a fun experience, so you can try that, and if not, I guess I can stretch it out for another year. But first choice would be for somebody else to take the baton. Mark, how do we proceed? Do we nominate, second nominations, and so on? You can't hear you there. Your speaker's off. Your mic's off.
All right. Does anybody want to volunteer for president?
I nominate
nomination.
Steve.
What was that, Robert?
I nominate you for president again.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, the first choice was for somebody else to step in.
Yeah, that wasn't
You're
the
an
idea.
outstanding job, and I can't come to it, so I figured I'd get you again.
Oh, good. Okay.
I'd like to make
Any other?
I'd like to make a nomination. I'd like to respectfully ask somebody who is always contributing stuff all the time and has great experience. I would really appreciate if Ralph would consider it.
Okay, so we have a nomination for Ralph. Do we have a second? That would be KE5HDF.
That's
But Ralph is a dog. How can a dog? I don't understand this.
We'll sidestep that one.
This morning.
I second it.
I think Kenny just seconded. So Ralph, are you up to this thing, or what do you think?
You see, I got my head in the stars this morning. I'll give it a try, but be warned, every group I've ever been president of has tanked in 2 years.
Okay.
If I get in trouble, I know there are good people that I can call on.
Oh, you bet.
And this position is more or less mainly ceremonial, so yeah, I'll do it.
Sounds good. Okay. What's the next one?
But I have before we do that, there's one order of business we need to check with Mr. Berger about. Did my dues reach you? Am I a paid up member? If I'm not,
you should be. Let me see. I don't have the computer. I'm on a different computer, but I believe
we'll say yes.
You are paid up. Yes. Yeah.
So,
Up in the
so
ballot
if
box.
Donald and
You
Mark
can
say
be it
yes,
whether you're
yes.
paid up or not. There you
Up in the
go.
ballot box.
All right.
Okay.
Well, let's go ahead and vote on this, and then we'll go on with the next officer. All those, okay. So the motion has been put forward that KE5HDF Ralph, our colleague, be the president for the Oak Forest Amateur Radio Club for the next term, essentially 2022. The proposal was made. The nomination was made by Hal, KG5OIR, and it was seconded by Kenny, KW5KEN. So all those in favor of Ralph becoming president, please show it by a raise of hands. Okay, all those opposed? 0. Okay, so Ralph, congratulations, you're our new president. And no bio break required.
Be warned.
You're going to do fine.
We'll help you out.
Oh, I know.
It's not like you don't know the drill, you know.
It's mainly just guiding a few things along.
Yep. Okay. The next position for officer, what do we have there? VP, I would imagine. Currently, we have Jeremy as VP. Believe so. And I don't think he's on right now. He's not. But do we have any nominations? And as VP, by the way, when the president is on vacation or whatever, or out of pocket, then the VP pretty much takes on this responsibility and coordinates everything so that the minutes are taken on the meetings and somebody's got the ball on that, and that the the website, touch base with Barry if the website needs or has a typo or something like that, and just pretty much coordinating things like this. So do we have any nominations for VP?
I think that Jeremy has said in the past that he would continue as vice president. So he's certainly there on the nomination, but since he's not here, this is a bio break nomination here. So we might take.
I second the nomination, by the way.
Okay. We might take some other nominations and then see how he wants to handle it.
Do we have any additional nominations for the office of vice president for the coming term of the Oak Forest Amateur Radio Club? So far, we have Jeremy. Do we have any others? We have to give an extra amount of time in case of Echo Link because those guys take a bit longer to come in. No comments. Okay. So the next office that we have is secretary. Is that right, Mark?
Right. I'm going to continue as secretary, and then I'm taking over as treasurer also, since they're mostly the same. It'll make it much easier. And I've already received the attaché case with the launch codes from Rick Gaffrey, and
Football.
Yeah, we need to. I'm already on the bank accounts and the other stuff, so we just need to switch around some emails and some other stuff, which I think we want to get with Barry about the email aliases and a few of these other things so that we can make these transitions easier. That would go for the Zoom accounts as well as taxes, bank accounts, and whatnot.
Okay, hold on a second, Mark. I think Robert, go ahead.
Yeah, I second Mark keeping it.
Oh,
okay. So we have Mark self-nominating, which is acceptable, and Robert seconding both offices, secretary and treasurer for Mark. So do we have any additional nominations for the offices either of secretary and or treasurer for the coming term? I'll take that as crickets. So
make a motion that we proceed to vote on those two.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Second. Okay. So the motion before the group here is Mark, WB5ANN, for secretary and treasurer for the coming term. And all those in favor of WB5ANN, please raise your hands. All those opposed? Okay, Mark, congratulations. You are continuing as Secretary and Treasurer. By the way, we appreciate all the help you're doing this at this the transition from Rick. And by the way, do you have a Treasurer report at this point that you can share with the group?
I don't have any update on the Treasurer report. It's basically the same information as we've had last month. I did get a updated list. Fortunately, I have them on 2 computers, but I have whatever I've received from Don over the emails in terms of membership has been updated. And then he's sent me the checks, the most recent checks, which have not been deposited yet. I just got the information from Rick last week. So once I get all that, I'll send out the membership list so everybody can see who's where, and then get that to Barry.
Sounds like a plan. And just for those folks that joined a little bit late, that membership list that Mark is curating here and trimming and updating is going to dovetail into our distribution list for the reflector and also for the invites, which so far have been done pretty much in a way that needs to be improved. Essentially, we're copying a distribution list from last month. Whoever was invited last month gets invited this time. And by the way, we're going to be doing that as a BCC from now on, just to safeguard our email addresses from folks forwarding this to multiple people, which they're encouraged to do, but we just don't want to share that information. So anyway, so that will be, if you're up to date, then you should be getting the invites, you'll get the reflector and privileges and all that stuff, which is the ongoing project there. Okay, so who will be the next group of officers? I think that's got that covered. No recounts or bio breaks permitted, so none taken. So I think we're good with this, right? So we're moving on to the next item. Going once, twice. Mark, you have a thought?
No, we have some, I think Ralph is a trustee, actually. And then there was at one time Ralph needed to get a signature for the bank accounts. So I'll work that out with the bank, because I think we have 4 people on there now. And it's just really a pain in the neck to get stuff on and off those accounts. But functionally, whoever has the checkbook has control of the account. So you can't really do much without that.
And you've got that football,
without
right?
the passwords, yeah. So
I think we have Mr. Spock over here. Hal, you have a comment?
Yeah, just hang on. I just want to make sure though that we do have a fair amount of money in the account, and so we just want to make sure that the passcodes and everything are secure, so that we can, 1 or 2 people have functional control of the account, and then also any problem with the account, the passwords and the access can be recovered. So there's a problem, it's easy to fix. Almost everything is online now. We have physical checks for certain things. So Rick did a pretty good job of handling all of that, but just procedurally, we just want to make sure everything's nice and tidy so that we don't have any problems.
Of course.
So Mark, I would make a recommendation is that now that you're going to be treasurer, would be a good time to update all that information and change it. And then if you feel secure with that, share it securely with the president.
Right. Yeah, we had all of that is already in progress. I mean, I've been on the bank accounts before.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, we're going to change everything because all of the stuff is in Rick's email and contact information and that sort of stuff. So what we want to try to do, and this is for Barry, is rather than have the personal email accounts on the various banking and administrative pieces, things for the club, we want to try to switch those to aliases that can then be forwarded to whoever officer is there at the time. So however we do that, I'm not, I need to get with you. We've been talking about it for a while, but that's what we want to do, is run everything through aliases that then can port to people's email accounts. And then that just makes it easy to make changes and things in the future. And it's basically a one-click change to sort all this stuff out. So
Okay.
that's the next step, and I'll have to get with Barry directly.
It sounds like definitely Mark has got a handle on this. We did have a pending question from Hal. Hal, was your question answered, or do you still have it there?
This is another issue that we talked about. Mark made some good suggestions that the Zoom could be used very effectively for like officer meetings, demonstrations. Somebody wants to show something from their site. So I just want to leave that Zoom question open to Mark and go on from there.
I thought that the Zoom question was already discussed last time. Oh. We pretty much all agreed that we wanted to continue with Zoom, right? Is that what you got, Mark?
No. This is, but how the control of the Zoom account rests with Jeremy. Okay, so we want to switch that so that the account function is through the alias. Okay. So one or more of the officers can access the Zoom account, without Jeremy. And so we can basically use that much more, have a lot more flexibility in terms of how we use the account.
Sounds good. So I think that hinges on the renewal period, right? We don't want to renew this subscription then. Jeremy needs to be made aware of that so that we can go ahead and end that subscription and restart another subscription with this new generic alias or whatever is decided. Does that sound correct?
Well, however we do it. Okay, so this would go to the, basically a notice would go to whatever officer is paying the bill, say me or whatever, and either we debit, I think we can do through a account debit, or just a credit card or whatever. So, but it's not so much the payment, it's who has control of the meeting at any given time.
Yep.
So
that's an area of improvement that we've seen in the past year that I've been concerned about, because the meeting prep is something that requires access, and if Jeremy's out of pocket, then or whoever, then that becomes a bottleneck. So that's something that can be improved.
Right. So whoever pays the bill, it doesn't matter, because that's it's a once a year recurring cost, and somebody can get reimbursed for that. So, but the functional use of the account, where we have to link it to his email, and he receives that email, he logs in with his personal email. That's where the problem is here. So we want to change that to an alias, so that one part, the officers or whoever can access that account and operate a meeting independent from others. And that's how we want to do it.
Hold that thought, Hal. And I notice you're not doing the Mr. Spock anymore, so that's a demerit. But I'm noting over here that changing of Zoom account to an alias is a pending item, and I'm passing that one on to Mark. This is the last time I'm going to be doing this. But this kind of stuff would be, again, if you came in late, we have a new president. That would be Ralph. So Ralph would be doing this kind of stuff. Mr. Spock, the mic is yours.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one of the reasons I was interested in that is Mark had brought up the idea if somebody was doing a demo from their location, having cameras detailed on some soldering or some techniques, making something, that because of not having a place where we can do that live, then this would make another feature about it. It wouldn't even have to wait for a meeting, but somebody's going to do a demo of a soldering or a demo of an antenna or a demo of something. They could do that, and that would mean having more flexibility to the Zoom account for being able to do that. So that's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
Good point. Okay. So noted that, again, we're leaning again on Mark and on Ralph on this one. changing of the Zoom account specifics for the coming year. Do we have any more to discuss in this topic? If not, we're going to sidestep over here to the Orange Ham Fest, which was going to be, remember, this meeting was actually going to be, this meeting that we're on right now was going to be next weekend, but that was actually moved earlier on account of the Orange Ham Fest, which is really the big ham fest in this region earlier in the year. It's the first one, really big one that comes up. And it's been confirmed to be on for 2022, so February 26th is up. I put in the information on the invite, like when, where, and including, they actually had the coordinates, so if you're keen on that, you can look at that up. And the time is 7:30 to 2 p.m. So it's pretty much an early riser type of ham fest. All the good stuff will probably be gone earlier. So if we want to go in carpooling and so on, we might want to go ahead and get on the road fairly early. So do we have any carpools that want to be announced at this time, or any thoughts on transportation to Orange, which is right outside of Beaumont? Start with Ralph. Ralph, go ahead.
I have an email from Dom that he would like to carpool with somebody to go to Orange next week.
Okay.
One assembly point could be Metro Northwest Transit Center. Then he lists a couple of others that are possible meetup points. So that'll be a starting point. I will not be able to go, but I wanted to let y'all know that Dom intends to.
Got it. Yeah, Dom's email was, I remember that. I'm glad you brought that up there. So he proposes this Metro Northwest Center there as a central location to pick him up and move on. In any volunteer, I think it's the first time in a couple of years maybe that we've gone to this Hamfest as a group. So any carpools that would like to be announced at this time? Is anybody going? Okay. So anyway, if this changes,
yeah, I'll be going.
Okay, Gus. Noted. So if anything changes, just make sure check out the reflector. It's in this coming week that the messages, if any messages, are going to be going on the reflector for possible carpools. None are being announced right now, but if you have extra space in your car and you want to share, get somebody to share the gas expense there, gas money, that would be good. And also remember, we if it's anything like it was a couple of years ago, folks usually go to a Chinese restaurant and just eat on the way, before heading back to Houston. So that's all good.
Oh, there's good food there. Some of the wives every year prepare some really, really good stuff. In fact, that's what, besides ham stuff, okay, that's one of the nice things about the Orange Ham Fest is the food there.
Yeah, and they had a lot of good volunteers there. It seemed to be very, very well run there. And I'm sure not as big as others, but we did have some providers there. Some I think it was ABR or the ARRL. So some outfits that were having their stands there. So again, Orange Hamfest is coming up. Please be on the lookout for the reflector for more details. Do we have any questions or comments on the Orange Hamfest before we move on to the next topic? Okay. And item number C was, I can't think of anything else, though we'll likely discuss additional club business, I'm sure. Additional club business we need to discuss. Anything I missed or anything you want to bring up?
Well, health and welfare of a couple of folks. I am concerned that Jeremy's not here, but also Mr. Ken, I don't know if it's the lighting or you look very pale. Is it just the lighting in the room you're in?
Who?
Ken, KW5KEN. Are you?
Oh, Ken Wetzel?
Yeah.
Ken's looking okay.
Okay. It's just the lighting or the way I'm sitting. My eyes are acting up this morning. Maybe on my end.
I'm fine.
All right. Good, sir.
And there was a question from Hal some time ago about Cindy, KI5LIF. She's usually on our repeater. Or on Wayne's repeater, 145170. but I've been totally outside of that on the count of the CW classes. So I don't know if folks have been logging on to the repeater and you're hearing Cindy coming on, or does anybody know if everything is okay with Cindy? Just to follow up on Hal's health and
It
welfare.
was on yesterday.
Yeah,
She
I
was
hear
on.
her on.
Okay.
I don't think she misses a day, actually.
Okay, good. All right, good deal. Any additional health and welfare checks? If not, I believe that's all we have. Oh, by the way, just FYI, we have Valentin, KI5ERO. He was a member, joined us for a few breakfasts some time ago, and then he moved out. I think you're in North Carolina, Valentin, is that right?
Yes, in Charlotte.
Oh, okay, well, thanks for joining us here.
But believe me, I miss Texas a lot, and I hope I'll come back.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That was the best time in my life, those 2 years I spent in Houston.
There you go. Good. Well, hopefully you can arrange it so you can come back and, of course,
I hope
stick
that too.
with the club.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Oh, of course. Okay.
Terry, when you can put me in, yeah.
Well, I was just going to make a comment to Valentin.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in Charlotte second weekend in June. I'm going to have to bring a handy talkie with me and try to get you on the air. What frequency do you usually monitor?
I don't know by heart, but there are a few repeaters over here. If you send me an email, I'll send you the repeaters.
I will do that then.
Oh, so let me follow up on that right quick. Seth, are you on the reflector? Do you have access to the reflector? Email distribution list?
I am on the reflector distribution list. I saw Dominic's reply about wanting the carpool.
Okay, so you're good. And Valentin, you're on the reflector also, right?
What do you mean by that?
Okay, it's that OFARC website that you can actually log into and you see the emails.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
so perfect. So you guys can, you guys can definitely coordinate. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
All right. So goodness there. Any other business we need to attend to?
Yeah, I got a question.
Hey, Robert, go ahead. Robert,
Do we have any projection on the transfer when we'll be able to go back in there, or is this going to be a long-term thing?
Not yet. So I talked to Alan last week actually, and he says nothing's moving just yet. So I'll give him and Ben email here and see what the plan is. So I'll report back before March because I want to start testing back up in March, and I don't really have a schedule set for that yet or place. So there you go.
Do we need to see about finding another place or anything?
I think we had a couple of places on the offing right there on the side in case we needed to have an in-person meeting. One of them was, I think, around Highway 6, a locale that Mark mentioned, an office that had a conference room that was quite large that would accommodate us. And so, yeah, we talked about this in a previous meeting. So, yeah. But that's off to the side because really our go-to place would continue to be TransStar. And it's just that they're doing some maintenance or whatever the heck they're doing over there that we can't access it. But Mark's, the way I understand it, it seems to me that Mark's got his foot in the door and he's our go-to contact with the people over there who are quite friendly and quite accommodating to us.
Yeah, there's not much we could do to pressure TransStar. Let's put it that way. So, but we do have some other, my office at Highway 6 can handle, quite a few people there. That's available.
Okay.
So
and
that's a little bit more centrally located to some, but not others.
Yeah.
And but the Zoom works okay. I have two other clubs that we run meetings by Zoom and it works okay. So
okay. Hey, Mark, hang on a second. We had a comment from Gus, I think. Gus, I think I might have cut you off. Do you still have your question or was it answered already?
No, we doubled. My question was about the reflector. I'm not sure if I'm on it. I don't know how to get on it. I've been getting invites to these Zoom meetings, but I'm not aware of a reflector as such.
Okay, I don't know if I have the site for it.
You need to contact me via the web page.
Okay, Barry. I'll do that. Thanks.
All right.
And just so we know, let me go ahead and put this on the chat there, Gus. This is the website that I have to access the reflector. So that's the infamous reflector there. It's essentially a website that it's like a mail server there.
Well, no, but there's also, you could send me a request via the contact on the webpage, www.oforc.org.
Roger that. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure I'm not on there because I've never seen that before. That
it's pretty handy because like members can take a conversation offline, like Seth and Valentin, and using the reflector there. Or if you have something like if somebody goes on a Parks on the Air activation, they can put something up there. Hey man, I'm going out there to park such and such a time. If you want to join me, so it can come in pretty handy. So yeah, it's definitely a good link to access. Okay, any other business in the business part of our meeting before we move to a presentation? Go ahead.
Elisha.
Okay.
Anyway, talking about health and welfare, we also need to constantly think of Alvin, KG5 EGD. I talked to him. He's on some of the nets, and I know that he was on last Tuesday. But definitely keep prayers on him because he's still, he has health issues, and he definitely needs our constant care and contact, and just whatever we can do for him.
Good point. Good point. I know that Alvin is pretty much one of our regulars there on our weekly nets, but yeah, for sure. That's a good point. Thank you very much, Elisha. Okay, so the other thing in the agenda, moving on, was Orlando Hampcatian videos. A few videos from YouTubers who walked the halls of the Orlando Hampcatian and stopped at interesting stands. Of course, Hampcatian in Orlando is a very big deal, and there were some actual people that took some film over there, or some YouTubes. So we're going to go ahead and present that. See if we can do that. So, and let me remove the chat, and let me see if I can share this video. And I think you have to go to YouTube first and then try it. So let me do that. Okay, so let me share the screen, and that would be that one. Share sound, optimize for video clip, and say share. So let me know, please, if you guys can see this screen.
I can see it. Okay,
so right here then is the videos. We're not going to see all of them. I was just thinking about the top 3 maybe, and then at that point our interest might be dwindling. So we're going to go with the, unless you guys have a one that you particularly want to see, this is the list of them here. This is K at MRD, and he roamed the hallways there. But we'll go with the ones that had the most views. In this case, the Buddy Poll Orlando Hampcatian is one that had a lot of views, so let's start that one.
Google Fi, a phone plan by Google. With our flexible plan, only pay for the data you use, down to the...
Coming down here, we got our friends at Buddy Poll. Hopefully you've seen the videos using the Buddy Hex. There's a Buddy Poll Deluxe, using as a dipole. Very, very cool. Fantastic antennas. Here's the base for the Buddy Stick Pro, isn't that the base for it? Yeah. Yep. Everybody's raving about this thing. There's Matt.
You're just not sold yet, are you?
No, I'm not. Hey, there's Chris.
Hey there.
Got these beautiful. We looked at these the last time we were here. These Maestrant masts. You get this ginormous mast, okay? And you instead of Armstronging it, you just turn this. Just look at that. You put a hex beam up there or a dipole or something. It's got the guy rings, and you just turn it with your fingers, easy peasy. This thing is freaking amazing, absolutely awesome. These are the tubes that they're going to be selling when they come out with the Buddy Hex. Everything packs into these tubes, so if you're going to travel or something, like Jason takes these down to Costa Rica, here's the Hex. Everything goes in this tube. I think it's made for like skis or something, but when you put an antenna in, it's made for antennas. Really cool. And here's the Buddy stick. A little coil here tapped. You got all these different marks. So these are just like in 5 coil increments, so you can kind of remember where you want it at. So that's cool. There's another dipole set up there. That's really neat. Yeah, these guys make really awesome stuff. Really, really cool stuff. Haven't played with much of it yet, but what little things from Buddy Pole I have played with, just absolutely fantastic quality. Absolutely fantastic. So they got this Versatee, little 80-meter add-on coil. They got all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff. Good, very, very good portable radio stuff. And so we use this at the D-Expedition, or not the D-Expedition, but when we went to Washington, we were using the Buddy Hex. Dude, we're getting out. We're getting out. And they go on D-Expeditions with these things. He goes down to, Chris, goes down to Costa Rica a lot, and they bring all their stuff out there and get active. It's pretty awesome. So, yeah, definitely.
Okay, so the second one that got the most views seemed to have been the Wolf River Coils Orlando Hampcatian.
And then we've got our buddies at Wolf River Coils. Fantastic antennas. There's Gary. There's Terry. Home of the Silver Bullet line of antennas and the subject of many a K8MRD radio stuff video. Here's the Otophone, I can't remember how to pronounce it, but you got a cool little dipole out of them. You can buy all their wares here, different configurations. Here's the Silver Bullet 1000. I think one of these is the Platinum, handles a little bit more high power. Here's the Silver Bullet Mini. Here's a dual collar kit, so if you want to have, well, 2 collars on your Wolf River coils, so instead of just having the one, you can put another collar on here and have one further down for 40, maybe one up for 20, 17, 15, whatever, wherever you want to be, you can get that kit. Or they sell this little add-on kit that's just kind of the do-it-yourself one. So they got all kinds of stuff. More counterpoise wires. This is the center loaded. If you already have a Silver Bullet Mini or something, and you want to center load it to make it look like that and get that coil off the ground, you can just buy the sticks to make it do that. They've got the 17-foot whip. If you want to get more metal in the air, that's good to do that. There's the Mega Tripod. That's what I use typically. And they got a cool little J-pole over there. That's pretty neat. Here's the Silver Bullet 1000 with the Mega Tripod. This is the way to go here. I love that. But if you want to be more compact, you can get the standard one. This is how it comes. And I like this Wolf River coils just in the standard configuration that they sell it in. A lot of guys use that 17-foot whip, but I like the, I think it's a 108-inch whip that this one is. And you just connect your counterpoise wires up to it, throw them out, slide the collar up and down, wherever. Now you're in tune on, you know, whatever band. You can tighten this little wing nut or nut down so it doesn't move. And now you're resonant on whatever band you want. This will do 80 through 6 meters with just this coil. They sell for about 150 bucks. That was the first commercial antenna that I bought for portable. They're fantastic. And here you can see they've got guys mounting them on mag mounts on their car. Work great there. There they are in the snow. You don't really need to worry about really getting them wet or anything. It doesn't really affect them. They just work. These antennas are fantastic. Great guys, just a 2-man crew. They build them in their garage and they're kicking butt, right?
Okay. Don't know what that was about. I think one more, and then unless you guys see something that you want to see, there was a 1.9 thousand views, 1.8 thousand views. The last one was this one. I think this may just, well, I'll tell you what, let's go over here to the MFJ one. It has 1.6 thousand views, but it seemed to have some good content there. They seem to have a very, very big stand there.
You're not sharing anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Sorry about that. Let me see if I can do it again. Thanks for letting me know.
You
And
tune that up. I'd like to comment about MFJ.
Sure.
Soon after I got into the hobby, I was hearing very mixed reviews about MFJ items. Some guys said that it used to be real good and that was junk. Others said that they had old equipment and new equipment and the older was better. So I called MFJ. I had picked up a manual tuner secondhand, and I opened it up, was taking a look, and I called MFJ, talked to their head of technical services. And he said, yes, we had a bad time period where everything was going out with cold solder joints because, quote, we failed to train properly, unquote. He said they fixed it and that he was personally checking a few items that came off of the line every day and their quality was back up where it ought to be. And that the only problem that he ever identified with the bad period items was cold solder joints. So if you pick up some older MFJ equipment, open it up and look for cold joints. And then just heat them up, freshen the flux. Yeah, Gary.
Yeah, I had a high gain rotator that was being sold by MFJ. And in retrospect, I looked and it was a couple of years old. The manufacturing date was 2 years prior to when I actually bought it. And I had trouble with it. It was sort of intermittent, couldn't figure it out. There was a little 8-wire controller strip there. And I took that off and looked inside. And I found something that was superseded the absurdity of a cold solder joint. It was a no solder joint. Oh. They had a little eye with a wire going through it in a loop, and no solder had been applied to that eyelet at all. And it was just sort of touching, sort of. And I found loose components inside of MFJ stuff, but also in other equipment too. I've had stuff delivered with transformers that have come loose because the screws weren't Loctited or snugged in. Some of the earlier MFJ stuff was terrible, but more recently, everything I've gotten either prior to their bad period or after it has been very good, including an Ameritron amplifier. I had very good service work done on a Mirage amplifier, which now is a part of Ameritron, which is a part of MFJ, and they did a very good job on repairing it, and were very good about it. So I'm kind of, they're back on my list of the less expensive stuff to consider, definitely. That's all.
Consider, you're right, consider.
That's a good point. The only thing to add there would be that like some of the YouTube reviews, I don't know if on this one, but on another channel was saying, they're out of Mississippi and they hire locally from their trade schools and their technical schools all around their community. So that, they're made in the USA. So I'm saying, if you're going to buy stuff and get it shipped over from China where the quality may be not so good, give MFJ a try. I mean, their quality may surprise you, as Gary and Ralph were mentioning. Maybe they went through a rough spot, but and
they definitely did.
They're doing a lot better supposedly. So go ahead, Mark. I think I cut you off there.
Yeah, there's a couple of videos that show more recently the factory that kind of goes through their more recent quality control issues. And I had the same issue that Gary had, where I had equipment where there was no solder on the parts at all. Stuff was loose and bouncing around, So I don't think I think I only have about 2 pieces of MFJ equipment since I'm not buying anything. But there's a lot of stuff out from them and others that just has crappy quality control. So you just gotta, make sure whatever you're buying is been tested, especially if you're buying it used, So, but new, they you send stuff back, they fix it. You know, their return policy is generally pretty good now. So, you know, they'll make good on it, you know, let's put it that way.
Good point. It's not just MFJ having trouble.
Yep. And I think there was something on the chat. Maybe I think Hal was mentioning that it might be a good topic there for a video, or, you know, maybe a future meeting showing solder. I mean, you know, the folks that solder, to them, it's second nature, but a lot of us maybe need, you know, some pointers on what a good solder joint would look like, what a bad ones look like. And so maybe we can borrow some of y'all's brains in the future and maybe document a little bit of a little show. It doesn't have to be a long one, but just a show and tell on good solder versus bad solder jobs. Again, folks assume that everybody knows it, but, you know, we all have to learn that stuff.
Yeah, I have a soldering presentation already that covers all, basically soldering workshop without having to solder, and that one is already prepared. I think some of you guys may have seen that. So, and it covers all of it.
There you go.
So maybe next time we could put that on the agenda.
Okay, so let's go ahead and wrap up then. The last video to show is the MFJ video. And this is again from the Orlando Hampcatian. This was their display. And we'll go ahead and maximize it here. And
whoops.
Yeah. Hey, just a quick comment is I have some photos of the Orange Ham Fest from years past. So if guys haven't been there, I can show those. And I think there's pictures of a few of you guys there too. So
if you want to pull this up there, Mark, while we're looking at this last video, it's only 6 minutes long. So this video will show you a little bit of what the MFJ latest offerings are and something that maybe deserves a second look by you. Here we go.
Got our buddies from MFJ Enterprises here. Great supporter of the channel. Thank you, MFJ. Look, there's Stubbs. What's up, brother?
Rock on.
Beautiful, ginormous booth as always. This wraps all the way around here, guys. You are missing out if you are not at the Florida Hampcatian. Everything you could ever possibly want here. I'm going to be getting one of these tuners. That's the 939B, 300 watts. So depending on how many watts you put in, you'll get a wider tune range if you're at a lower wattage than at a higher wattage. But these will tune a freaking wet noodle. I've got this one right now hooked up next to my station, and this works great. But this has the readout and everything, so you can see the power and the SWR and all that, and you've also got your meter. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic stuff. Love MFJ antenna tuners. They will tune anything. Then you got the real big freaking guys here. Roller inductor things. I've never used one of those, but those are for the serious guys. Very cool. And rounding the corner here, got some Meritron amplifiers. Here's the AL811H. I've wanted to look at this thing. This is freaking way bigger than I thought. Look at that. Gotta tune the knobs and things. Man, that's a solid freaking bit of kit right there. What is this? Power supply. Solid state no tune amp. Oh, that's cool. I don't want to tune stuff. Then you can look at the tubes. Look at the warm glow of that one. This is the 808. Really cool looking amps. And that's cool, they open these up, they let you see inside. Got some Toroids for my buddy Ape. He didn't make it out here. Antenna switches. All kinds of doodads. You need rotators, here you go. How many rotators you need? They got antennas galore. MFJ's got everything. They really do. They really do. Mast mounts. I don't even know what these are, but more antennas. Here's some more mobile stuff over here. This is an end-fed. I've used the low power version. This worked great. Here is, that's the 2012. That's what's above my roof right now. I've had that up for like 3 years now. Fantastic off-center fed dipole. What is it, 40, 20, 10 and 6 on it. current Ballons. This was the first, I bought this Ballon, made the first antenna ever. I made a fan dipole with that. Really great.
New York,
here's the biggest insulator you've ever seen in your life.
Damn, that is
right?
Big. That is big.
I know, like what do you need that for? But they got it, it's cool. Bunch of telescopic whips here, the whip. Got some springs here for your mobile antenna mounts, all kinds of mobile antennas. Here's the, I've got one of these, I haven't reviewed it yet, but just they call it a bug catcher, I think is what they call it. So you just tap it at different points and that'll get your resonant on different bands. So cool multi-band antenna there. So here's the newest thing MFJ's got out, Richard was telling me about. This is a drive-on, kind of, you drive over this, so your wheel goes there, and then you've got all these different mounts. You got your 3/8 24, a couple of these things. You put some counterpoise wires and a driven element here. You've got an NMO mount. There's a bracket here, so you can, that'll stick out here, so you can slide your telescopic mast in there, which I will be doing a lot of. So he's going to send me one of these. We'll review this on the channel soon, but this is really cool. I've been looking for a drive-on mount for a while, and like just by putting the options on here, you've got a lot more versatility. So that's, I mean, you could put your Wolf River coils right on here and not have to deal with the tripod or anything. Hook your counterpoise wires up to that, and you're on the air. So that's really cool. I'm looking forward to reviewing that. Now let's see what else we got. We got the old cobweb antenna up here. They got all kinds of HT antennas, some traps. Don't buy this, it's a trap. See what I did there? He got it.
I'm old.
Oh, VHF amplifiers? These are, why have I not seen these? We might have to look into these. These are cool. That might actually get me to hit some repeaters because I live in the middle of nowhere in Texas. I think this is their direction finder. This is cool. This is a, so you can have like a receive antenna and a transmit antenna. You hook your radio up to this, and when you transmit, it automatically senses the RF and it switches to the transmitting antenna like instantly. These are really cool. I don't know the difference between all these. The 1708B, yeah, so these are all the same. That one's broken. Oh no, that's got an SMA. Okay. Speech intelligibility, DX beacon monitor. I mean, you could spend all day just at MFJ's booth, honestly. Here's the RigPi station server. I've got one of those. That works cool. Artificial ground. I should look into that. There's so many things that you'll go crazy for here. That's why I didn't bring any cash. Unfortunately, I'm flying, so I can't send any of this home. Power distribution blocks. I've got a few of these. I use this one as my main shack distribution block, and then I've got this one here is on my bench. I use this with my bench power supply, which is this one here. So any power I need on my workbench. We've got 12 volt right there. Very cool. We got some keyers. I've got this key. This paddle is nice. I have that one. I picked that up used. That works great.
I've got that too.
Google Fi, a phone plan by Google.
Okay, well, that was a little bit of a taste of Hampcatian, and gives you an idea of what was going on over there. So the next thing, any comments on this so far? Go ahead, Gary.
Something was brought to mind before you showed that, but now I'm definitely want to bring it up. If you have something, a piece of equipment you want to sell, what's the best way to put it on a list, or just on just an email, or how do you do that through the club? Just, you know.
I would say there's at least a couple of ways, and then somebody else can chime in. But one way would be, of course, the reflector that we've been talking about. Just go ahead and advertise it there. That's absolutely, you could put prices and everything. The second way is actually at our nets, at our Tuesday night nets. I think when Hal hosts, he definitely makes a spot for, do we have anything to trade, sell, or swap? And Donald, I think, also leaves that in his, when he hosts. So yeah, bring it up at that point, and then we're not doing it as a business, so we can do that swap trade or whatever can be done over the air. So just bring it up at that point.
There's also a Thursday net, a Thursday swap net. The CTAC net is I think they're at 7. I think they were at 7 or 8. They were on another frequency and have moved to the 1.7. It hasn't been much action because I don't think the message has gotten out that the net has moved, but there is that on Thursday.
Do you know what time, Mark?
Yeah, I think it's at 8. It's either at 8 or at 7. I'm not sure. You got to check the CTAC website.
Okay. Good deal.
And then it's 8 o'clock.
Okay, yeah. It's at 8.
It's 8 o'clock, and on the 17 repeater. And we've had very small nets. Definitely, we need to get the word out, get more people involved in that since they moved, and it just definitely need to get it, really get it going as an alternative.
What are you selling, Gary?
Oh, yeah, one of those. 150/300 watt auto tuners that MFJ makes. I hardly used it at all.
It's an automatic tuner. It's not a dial job.
You can do both, but it does have an auto tuning mode. It has a memory. It remembers frequencies and stuff. It's kind of neat. It gets the SWR down to about 1.1 or 1.2, depending on what your power level is and everything.
How much are you asking for it?
Anyway, I never had any problem with it. I just I can't remember what the application was I had for it, but I got a used MFJ Versa Tuner 5. And there are a lot of versions of the 5. Anyway, I got one at a pretty good price, and the guy said it was in good condition, but when I looked inside, the roller inductor was badly scorched. The thing about those roller inductor tuners is you don't tune them with high power going through them. You don't turn the little cranky thing, because that really does a lot of damage to that roller tuner, roller inductor.
Hey, Gary,
what are you asking for it?
Yeah, what are you asking for it?
Oh, I don't know. Trying to think what the original price was. I was going to sell it for about half price, around 200, I think. It's just something that's just sitting around. I'm not using it, and I really need to kind of lighten my load here.
All right.
I got an interesting story. I got a 45 amp power supply from them. 12-volt supply, and later I heard these horror stories about guys that bought this power supply years ago, and it has the ones they had would overvoltage momentarily under certain conditions and take out an entire transceiver. It put like a 30-volt spike out. And the condition was that you momentarily shorted the output, just a momentary little tick. And apparently the time constants involved in the feedback control of the switcher were such that it overcompensated and undercompensated the overcompensation, but the result was you got a nice spike that came out. It's supposed to have overvoltage protection and overcurrent protection, but apparently that circuit didn't at one point work so well. I actually tested it to see if I could make mine do that, and it wouldn't overvoltage if I just gave it a momentary short on the output. I tried it multiple times and never got it to do it, but as a result of doing that, I was concerned about that any power supply can do that. Any power supply can go nuts and lose its smarts due to a failure of some sort internally or whatever. And you can have a 12-volt bus that's suddenly a 24-volt bus with lots of amps. And
so we should have breakers on the things, right? or fuses?
Yeah, it's a little late for that though. Fuses are very slow. The joke among electrical engineers is that if you have a fuse that is protecting a transistor, the transistor will protect the fuse. And it's quite true. I mean, solid state stuff is, and the problem is that a lot of these rigs have a reverse polarity protection, have a reverse bias silicon diode on the power line. So if you hook it up backwards, it's just a dead short and it'll blow a fuse, which I've done by accident, stupid me. But they don't have an overvoltage protection. So I have an MFJ distribution box with all these power pole connectors on it and a few banana plugs and stuff like that. And what I've done, inside of that, I put a couple of big ass MOV varistors, about 15 volt DC varistors. And in case it goes over voltage, it'll short that out. So I have both over voltage and reverse polarity protection inside the box now. I put a couple of the 1 in 4,000 series diodes in parallel reverse bias for reverse voltage, and the MOVs for the over voltage, and it works very well to protect it. I mean, even if you blow out an MOV, that's okay. It's a lot. I'll give it time for that fuse to blow.
Hey, so Gary, when you designed this for this add-on to your MFJ power distribution box, the obvious question that comes to mind is, did you test it? I mean, did you actually on purpose blow it up and make sure that
I did not.
Weak point was actually?
I did not test the over voltage, although I tested the MOVs. I put a resistor in series with them and ran the voltage up and see if they started conducting where they should, and they did. And no, I didn't see if it would blow the fuse. No, you're right about that. But I just trusted that what I put in there would actually be better than nothing.
Of course,
what was in there now.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I should have tested it. Yeah.
Yeah, just to
Good
see,
point.
Flames.
Well,
But
the reverse, the silicon diodes that are in there for the reverse polarity would not have blown, because they're good for like 10 amps, and even for hundreds of amps for very short duration. But the MOVs, I'm not sure. They're not as they're built differently.
Right.
It's sort of this pudding pie conglomerate, it's weird kind of stuff. But I got the biggest ones I could find from Newark. Not Newark. Well, I forgot where I ordered them. Maybe it was Newark. And they were like the 2,000 joule MOVs, 2 kilojoule.
Yeah.
And I put a couple of those in parallel. And yeah, I know you're not supposed to put stuff in parallel like that, because one goes before the other and blah, 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 blah. But it'll work. Trust me.
Sounds interesting. Okay.
Anyway, yeah,
That's
if
good.
anybody wants a electronic automatic tuner for low power, they say
Sounds good.
300 watts, but the caveat there is, and I've heard other people comment about these auto tuners, and even the MFJ specifically, that you don't want to have a high SWR at 300 watts. It'll fuss at you, because it has a voltage detector inside that says, the RF voltage is getting too high, and it'll give you an error. It doesn't want to mess with that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to get the power down low enough so if you do have a high SWR, the thing can auto tune without being damaged. So
then after that, you ramp up the power?
yeah, oh yeah, it's okay after that once you get the SWR down.
Sure.
But in the process of tuning, they all have that problem. Yeah,
sure.
Ralph.
Yeah, one of the things that I completely agree with what you just said. You don't want to tune at high power. I usually start off at about 2 watts, get it as good as I can, because the meter may not go up very high. Then I jump up to about 30, and I stepwise up. And that way I get a good tune without having to risk burning something up.
Yeah, the problem with too high a wattage is that you get the over voltage for high SWR. And if you go too low, then it doesn't get, the reflected power is so low, even for high SWR, that they can't tune well. So you need enough reflected power so the thing can tune and null out the reflected power, but not so much power that if with high SWR you don't have over voltage. Well, it won't hurt it. It just shuts down. I never put much power into it anyway, but I was trying to tune. I forgot what it was. I don't know. I forgot now. It's a couple of years old, but I've only used it. It has like a couple hours of use on it, and I never had any problem with it.
Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Okay, do we have any other comments on this before we go into, we only have 2 more things to go and then we can go into a breakout session. One was an article that was, oh, sorry, do we have any comments? No comments, okay. One was an article that was forwarded by Ralph, and it came from the Farmer's Almanac website. It was published February 7th. And again, Ralph brought it up, and it's Solar Cycle 25 predictions and updates, which immediately got me thinking about Mark's article on the Farmer's Almanac and how they were predicting sunspot-based stuff. But actually, Ralph's article, let me share it right quick here, was pretty cool. And it was very definitely based on science. So let me see if we can share. And
does anybody remember Sid Lasher's weather cow?
The what now?
There was a weather guy here. His name was Sid Lasher, and he would go and check out this cow that predicted weather, whether or not it had come out of its stall or not. And it was very accurate. It was scary.
If the cow was wet, it was raining.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true also.
So this is the article right here, and again, you notice here it's from the Farmer's Almanac website, and it's a great picture of the sun there, showing the sunspot regions and the magnetic fields that coil around and so on. Very fascinating in its own right. And in here, it pretty much gives you an idea about what the old Farmer's Almanac pays attention to. And one of the things is solar science. And they actually use it for long-range weather predictions. Now, this threw me a little bit when they're talking about weather. Later on in the article, they go into solar, I mean, from solar weather down to Earth weather. And I'm still a bit skeptical on that one. But definitely the solar weather part of this article is spot on. I'd like to draw your attention to this prediction right here of the solar cycle 25. This was the consensus prediction back in, I guess, April 2014 or something. So then if you remember back in that time, well, back actually right here in right around 2019 at the beginning of 2020, this was the prediction of solar cycle 25. So it was predicted to reach a peak at smooth sunspot number of 115 in July 2025. Well, now cut over here to the present, and let's see what the data right now is showing. Now again, this is sunspot counts predicted versus actual, and this is the prediction right here, the red curve. And this is what we're doing. This is what the data is showing already. Now, these are monthly averages, right? So it's averaging over here. I think actually the last month is maybe at 100. And I know we've had days in which we had 140 sunspot counts, but on average over a month, it's still looking pretty high. So right now, sure enough, the sun cycle 25 seems to be beating the prediction for whatever that's worth. Maybe it'll just, by the law of averages, come down a little bit later, or it might continue to be a very, very positive sunspot cycle. Any comments, or I think we have something in the chat here.
Yeah, a couple of things. One is during the 2019, 2020, there were like 24 teams making their own predictions, and they varied from half of what you see here to almost twice what you see here is the official forecast. That official forecast is a consensus. It was posted by and checked by NASA. The reading some articles last night. One group is saying, well, it just shows that we're going to have a much higher peak than what the official forecast is. But another team is saying, well, they think it's going to be an earlier peak, about the same height as what's shown, but several months earlier. So we don't have a clue.
No, but it's interesting to speculate. It really is. And to see how the data is coming in.
And years ago, when the climate models were starting to really fuss about global warming, I contacted Dr. Neil Frank. He was the former head of the National Hurricane Center. He was Channel 11 chief forecaster for a long time. I called him and talked to him. And what do you think about the climate models? And at that time, they had not been able to get the climate models to take old data and predict what really happened. No matter where he started the model, 50 years later, it showed a tremendous jump in global temperatures, which had not yet happened. So he is skeptical. I asked him about sunspots. He says, yes, we believe that sunspots impact our terrestrial weather. We have no clue how, and therefore they are not included in the models.
Yeah.
So
but now these are weather models, and we're talking about sunspots affecting the weather.
Yeah.
Not the solar weather, the Earth weather, which is
right.
I want to see the paper. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but another tidbit that was interesting here in this article that Ralph forwarded was this right here. I mean, sunspot counts have exceeded predictions for 15 straight months. Again, talking to Ralph's point, I mean, if these are aggregate averages, of course, it's going to read a bit lower maybe. Then, but it's interesting that so far the data is not just exceeding a little bit; it's for quite a bit of time there. So, interesting stuff, and very nice graphics. And anyway, so this was a very cool article from Ralph that it's included in the invite, so you can definitely read through it. Ralph, any other comment that you want to highlight on the article there? Because it was pretty good as far as solar science. Yeah, it was good stuff. Okay, the last thing I got before we essentially break out to breakout session or to to adjournment is I just wanted to share with you. I've been going ahead and taking the Long Island CW class, and the idea being how far along or how good is it, or what's the latest on it. See if I can get it here. Whale shoot. Oh, here you go. So this is just a quick presentation that I've come up with. This is the CW lessons for those that are maybe thinking about getting better at CW, at Morse code, or not. This is just again a data point for you to consider. I started this about 1 month ago, and then pretty much this is the status of what I've got. I decided to join the Long Island CW Club, which is a Zoom meeting club, as was mentioned in the last meeting, in our last OFARC meeting. What you're seeing here is essentially a plot for the last 30 days on the x-axis. Those are days, 1 to 30th. 30th being the most recent, so that's yesterday. And the number 1 over there on the x-axis, meaning about a month ago. And the y-axis is going to be overloaded in the sense that it's got 2 different parameters. And I ask for your forgiveness on this, but I just figured I'd just put this together and in a quick way. So the light blue bars are essentially a gray.
Stephen, let me interrupt here and say we're not seeing anything from you. You're not sharing.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry about that. Okay.
Just had a power blip here. Fortunately, I'm on a UPS.
Wow. Okay, is it sharing now?
Yes.
Okay, so again, the Long Island CW Club, it's mostly Zoom meetings, although in many meetings you go ahead and start, you have your speaker of your rig next to, or your oscillator next to your microphone of your computer. So then you're actually practicing sending also. So what you're seeing here is an XY plot of the grade of a quick test that you do at one of these classes. And, obviously 100% is a good grade. It's a perfect grade. And that's shown over here on the y-axis. And also on the y-axis, I have the product of words per minute times characters. In other words, think of it this way. Words per minute, if you're going 5 words per minute, you're going ahead and going at a very slow speed, like D dot, something like that. Very small, very slow speed. But then it also impacts how good you're doing, the number of characters that you're having to study. So say you're just studying 2 characters, say K and M, dot, dot, and dot, dot. So you can become very proficient at those 2 characters. So no matter what you hear in a recording, you'll pick it out. Hey, that's a K. Oh, that was an M. And you keep on going then, and you get a perfect score. So if you multiply the words per minute, the speed, times the number of characters you're studying, you get this index that is a little bit more accurate, I think, more useful. So that's shown in the blue bars. So aside from that outlier on the 4th day, I don't know what was going in which it was 20 words per minute and quite a few characters, that the product of that gave you a value of 200. Pretty much the characters initiated at low word per minute and low characters in the blue line until a few days ago, in which I continued increasing the number of characters, and I was already working my way up to higher words per minute. So consequently, over on the right-hand side on days 28, 29, and 30, you see that the product of words per minute times the number of characters you're actually studying or memorizing is a larger value. However, the grade, again, going from 0 to 100 on the y-axis in the light blue curve, on the light blue column, is lower, which means that you're not doing 100% anymore because you've thrown in a lot more characters, and guess what? You're going at a faster word per minute rating. But that's the whole approach here, is that you start building up more and more characters, and you start building up your speed in words per minute. Your grade will tank a little bit, and then it'll go up to 100, and at that point it's time to get more characters and a faster rate. So it seems like this graph is showing that there is improvement after a month there in this. And the other proof in the pudding is the number of CW contacts in the last 30 days that I've made. This is, again, on the y-axis is the number of days, 28th being yesterday, and number 1 being about a month ago. So you see in a function of time on the x-axis and the number of contacts on the y-axis. So prior to this, before a month ago, I think I had about 2 contacts in CW, which were very, very terrible contacts because I was barely making any sense at all. I know that. But then after that, these contacts are becoming more refined and the number of contacts are improving. So then it's also the number of POTA contacts. I've had actually 3 POTA contacts, not as an activator, but as a hunter. So in summary, a month in, I can report that there's great camaraderie with the Long Island CW Club, or LICW. Number 2, LICW method emphasizes this musical tone of the CW characters, which you hear a lot of the more experienced hams talk about when they talk about CW. It's like you have to hear the tone, you have to hear the rhythm of the characters. What LICW does is exactly that. They emphasize it as a musical tone for a character. For example, an L would be D, da, D, D. But if you're counting characters, that's not good. That you're self-limiting. So what the experienced hams will tell you is think of it as a rhythm. So in other words, think of it as di da di di. So sort of like a di da di di, like a little tone. That's what they emphasize, and that's the way to go, it seems. Number 3 is excellent instruction on CW protocols. If you know the protocols, then you know what to expect in your QSO. I didn't realize this, but a lot of the QSOs follow very specific protocols. In other words, they'll type in the same thing, UR599. In other words, your signal is 599 and then 5NN. So that kind of protocol information is quite useful because then you know what to listen for and your copying improves. And lastly, the primary focus is CW, but that's not exclusive in the Long Island Club. They're also weekly. By the way, there's sessions every day of the week, 7 days a week. There's sessions on boat anchors, and then there's, for example, a Yorkshire tea where a lot of the Brits come in their afternoon, and for us it's 7 in the morning on Mondays and on Fridays, which is a social practice session in which people send sayings or jokes or things like this. So it's a social practice session, which makes the whole experience quite a lot of fun. So, well, that's what I've got, and hopefully that's a little bit useful there on this option that you have there for learning CW. Shoot.
You said CW contacts. You're talking about on Zoom or on the radio?
On the radio. On the radio. So the idea is that. Oh, I'm muted.
Oh, you were for a few seconds.
Oh, sorry. No, it's actually you. So some of the contacts, it's not contacts. The practice sending is done on Zoom. So you can go ahead and connect your radio. So then you hear me, and then you try to decode what I'm sending. So then that. Go ahead.
The other comment I would make about your talking about CW is use da dit. Not. I don't know what you're saying. It's hard for me to remember, but it's not the standard way of describing dashes and dots by saying them. Right, Mark? Yeah, he agrees. Da 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 dit.
Oh, okay. Point well taken.
Da da da.
Yeah, what I was trying to do is this. That's an L.
Yeah,
but it's not. Because as a learner, you'll go ahead and do the second, and you really need to do it like more like a rhythm.
I'm just talking about the way you talk about the dashes and dots. The word you use to describe them when you say it is not what people normally do.
So it's dit, da, or no?
I didn't hear it.
So it's dit, da, dit, dit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Dit, da, yeah. Did when you describe code, you're going did it. Okay. Rather than dash dot, that's how you when you make a reference to Morse code. So that's how you actually say it.
I
thought I'd use dit, da, but hey, maybe there was a short between the brain and the keyboard here.
Stephen, when you say dit, you generally don't pronounce the T. You say did-ah, did-ah-dit, did-ah-da, something like that.
Yeah,
okay. Be the correct pronunciation.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's really a lot of fun, and it's taken up a lot of time, but it's a very social interaction in this club, and again, it's a great part of the hobby. And but to answer your question though, Gary, these are actual contacts. Once you know the protocol for POTA, you can actually hunt a lot of these stations very easily.
I have another question for you. What is your goal in terms of what bands you would really want to make your initial CW adventure on?
Okay, so the goals, we're actually at the beginning of these classes, we're actually asked to evaluate that. So I have a short-term goal, which is to go ahead and continue for 2 months at least on LICW 7 days a week, practicing, up to 3 hours, minimum of 15 minutes, usually more than half an hour, but for 2 months. The intermediate goal is to go ahead and do a POTA park activation on CW, and the long-term goal is to be able to communicate at, say, 25, 30 words per minute without using computers like some people actually do. And I'm not pointing at anybody on this meeting, but yeah, you're not supposed to use computers. That's cheating.
CW Skimmer, for instance.
Yes.
I've never used it. I've been tempted.
No, because the beauty of this thing is you're using your brain, right? You're using your brain to decode instead of a computer.
You missed the question though. What HF bands and where on those bands would you actually plan to make CW contacts? Forget about the internet and the Long Island thing and everything, you know, real radio. What are your plans there? What are your ambitions?
Sure, all of them. Actually, I was on 15 meters the other day, and that band had opened up, and there was a station. I'm not even sure where it was at, but you know, they're calling CQ, and they're going at the right speed. So that's what I'm going for. Can I do that speed? Well, I can understand them. I know the protocol, so I have a rough idea of what they're going to be sending next. Very rough, but still. So I said, the heck with it. You know, the worst that can happen is they're going to say, hey, man, I can't, there's QSB or QRM, I can't talk to you, see ya. Which is a nice way I found out to say, I don't want to talk to you because you're just too green right now, right? Does that?
Okay, the next question, yeah, good, okay. Now the next question is, what kind of keyer are you going to use?
So I had an MFJ 550, but I just went ahead and bought this. So.
Okay, a straight key. Okay, yeah.
Straight key.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah, this one is quite nice. It's quite heavy also. And,
yeah.
It's by Pietro Begali in northern Italy. These are really, really beautiful. And the thing is, you know, I really intend to get into this part of the hobby because whereas rack chewing on HF, sometimes it's not so interesting. This stuff is very much you're testing your ability to actually copy at different speeds, and it's very efficient communication. People usually, there's some rack chewing, but it's very, very efficient. So I like that.
It's going to be tough to find someone that's got an iambic keyer that'll send slow enough for you to copy them, unless they just go, you know, switch to a straight key protocol. But remember the Q signal QRS.
Always. And AGN. And AGN. Yeah. AGN is again. So AGN.
Okay.
When you get to really the high speed stuff on a contest, for instance, you hear the signal reports are instead of it's dit for a 9.
Yeah, those are called
which is
cut characters, right? So a 599 becomes
well with a slower da, but you don't even have to do that. Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
So
but you'll it's just you know, you have to dive in and keep away from the extra class part of the CW band, because there's usually a bunch of hot shots down there trying to burn.
There's another thing also. I mean, there's actually groups like SKCC, turns out, that they'll go ahead and it's free to join, and they only use straight key. The SKCC stands for Straight Key Century Club. So consequently, they'll be around like the 7055 or 14055 to 14060 in that particular area, and there's facilities for you to actually know, hey, there's a SKCC contact going on in this area if you want to join in, and they'll go slow. It's 20 words a minute or less. So, and they will slow down for you if you're starting out. So there's the contesters that, to me, it sounds like machine gun fire, and no way of understanding it.
They'll spend it 30 easily.
Yeah.
All the time. Oh, and also, by the way, if you have a bug, you can use that as a straight key. You don't have to switch the keyer.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from the bug. I'm going to concentrate on straight key for now.
Well, I understand. I'm just saying that I'm not advocating the use of a bug. I know that's sort of a but your attitude toward bugs, by the way, is not held only by a few people. There's a lot of hostility about them. The old school, the guys were brought up on bugs, and that for one reason or another didn't go with the iambic protocol. Myself, I'm dyslexic, so I can't do it. I don't know. I've tried it, and it just
It's a lot of fun. Anyway, what do you think, Ralph?
Dyslexic also.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit dyslexic also, and especially if I'm tired, it really kicks in.
Oh yeah.
But it's interesting. I've twice so far I've tried to learn CW, and each time some sort of disaster hit. I couldn't concentrate on it. But the other day, a friend of mine here in the neighborhood called me up and said he left something for me on the porch. He found it in his dad's box. His dad was a ham back in the 60s and 70s. And I look out on the porch, there is this little CW practice oscillator. It's a straight key with a little built-in oscillator, and it's in pristine condition. It just runs off a D cell. But I got to looking at it on the back. There were two wires that are obviously add-ons. So I checked what the fellow had done was modify it to go into his radio. He could use it as just a key on the radio. So between that and this conversation, I guess I'm going to have to try for a third time to learn the code. I had trouble hearing it, but maybe I'll make it.
Well, I had an interesting history about my dyslexia. It didn't bother me learning the code using a straight key and even a bug. It was natural to me. But I tried to take a course in typing once, and I wanted to type, by golly. We had a typewriter at home, and I got into a typing class when I was in high school, a freshman, I don't know what year it was, and I could not type. I tried and tried, and everybody around me was just, they were either already knew how to type, the SOBs, sorry, or they were just in there to show off, or they were very fast learners. And in any case, after about a month of that, I said, no, this isn't going to work. I'm going to flunk this course, and I don't want an F. So I got out of it. And I've never been able to type. I'm hunt and pecker.
But anyway, but give it a try, Ralph. I mean, it's very important to try. Give it a shot.
Yeah. Hey guys, let me. We're running about 15 minutes before I got to run out. I got a few pictures of the Orange Ham Fest.
Oh yeah.
To show you. So,
go ahead.
To kind of give everybody a little incentive for taking a shot. So
can you share right now, or do you need me to enable sharing for you?
Yeah, no, I can share. Let me pull it up here and let me see if you guys can see this. You have to click. The host has to give me sharing.
That's what I was asking. Let me try.
Okay.
Is that any better?
Let's see. Yeah, there we go. So
there.
So where is this one? This is orange?
Yeah, so you can see the screen
orange.
now?
Yeah.
Okay, so
orange. Everything's orange.
It's orange,
yeah. It's orange. Yeah. So for Terry there, they have a raffle. And so this is the first thing you see when you come into the meeting room there. So that's it's 10 for $5 or whatever it is. And
wow,
they have some pretty good raffle stuff there. And it's helpful if you have a stamp with your name on it, so you don't have to write your name 20 times or 10 times on the tickets. So that's a Hamfest tip. So they have a drawing they have a hourly drawing, and then they have the grand prize drawing. And I've won some pretty good stuff periodically, so it's not bad. Let me see. Let me move this there. So the meeting room is probably, I don't know, it's a 60 by 60, something like that. Bunch of tables. There's always some trinkets for the ladies there. I try to buy marry something when I see there. So they have jewelry and other little things, tubes nice. And whatnot. And so there's of course mostly used equipment, and here's a shot of some guys with selling their equipment. There's a few D104 microphones there and boat anchors and whatnot. And then a lot of these guys actually are coming over from Louisiana, since it's right on the border. W5OMR, Jeff is a good picture of him. We take, I know him for many years, and I think he is a member. And what we do, he's a big guy, so we try to take a selfie at every Hamfest that I see him at. We've been doing this back, I don't know, 10 years or so. So there's a lot of selfie pictures between me and Jeff. So that's just one of them there. And the usual kind of setup. So guys are on, this one was an estate sale. So there's a bunch of Yaesu equipment. There's some, those are all in pretty nice shape. And of course, everything is negotiable at some point. And then the prime position in the show is right when you walk in. And I'm not sure who these guys are, but they're there every year. Have kind of the front of the show there with their. I think there's some other Yaesu equipment there. They've got some RDF or magnetic loop or whatever it is, and some of that stuff just moves pretty slowly because it's there every year. And that's a shot of those guys kind of in the long shot at the front of the show. Of course, you know many of these guys, and so there's always some chatting and kind of, you know, mulling over the equipment, and just, you know, they're doing a deal, I guess, is this shot. This is the Houston Amateur Mobile group there. So there's Wayne and Rick Broussard and his brother, and a few other guys that we see regularly and have lunch with there. So they're always get a shot of the guys. Plenty of parts and trinkets and this and that. That's Paul Rubin, N8NOV, you know, stashing up on some trinkets. And then you know, just all kinds, just that's the kind of get some wide shots of the show. So that's the left-hand side showing the tables, that's the right-hand side showing the tables. And so it's it's not a bad show for the for where it is and that sort of thing. So there's Paul in there. He was there mulling over SMA connectors as if he doesn't have 500 of them.
He always looks so cheerful.
I know. Well, he's deep in thought, deep in thought. And but Paul has more connectors than anyone that I know, and he's always buying more. And just there's this guy's got that look on his face, because the radios aren't moving, so he's staring into space. The boat anchors here. So this is a KWM2, which is the of course the classic the classic Collins piece of equipment, and still holding some value.
that uses a VFO, right? So it's not a crystal set, or is it a crystal?
No, it's VFO. No, it's not VFO. It's just tube.
Yeah, I just noticed that in the band it says 7.2, 14.2, so very specific, sort of like pointing to a crystal, but I guess not. It's
that's the Pi network.
Yeah, that's it, right. That's just the getting the
loading.
Getting the load in straight. So it's it's got a lot of because it's nothing synthesized in it, to get the band to work with the tuning dial there, so you have enough selectivity. It's broken down in different sections of the band. So then this was the 2019 show actually. So there was quite a few amplifiers there. I mean, they were selling them by the box. You'd see like an SB200 or an SB220. The problem is there's plenty of them around. Getting the tubes has been difficult. So the guys were on the pre-COVID, of course. The guys were unloading a bunch of stuff, and some shows you can't find an amplifier, and then some they're almost giving them away. And then there's the range of equipment and stuff just piled up on the tables, and you can kill 3 or 4 hours on there. Actually, I'm just seeing this is a dummy load, an 1,000-watt HF dummy load here that actually Paul Rubin just bought one, so I just noticed that in the picture.
Oh, cool.
Plenty of military stuff at times, and Matt Polonis, W2NS, is a big boat anchor military guy, so I always take a couple of pictures of stuff to see if he's interested in this. I'm not interested in any military equipment anymore because it's just so much of a pain in the neck. But each to his own. And then there's Hal and Paul and Rod with their prizes.
So what is that?
I think Hal bought a
soldering iron?
No, I think that's a power supply.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know what Paul bought. I don't remember what Hal bought there. I think it's a power supply. And I just have to keep telling Hal not to just wait to buy. Wait. Just don't buy the first thing that pops up. There's Jeff again, giving me the scowl. Some more boat anchor military stuff that I had just taken pictures of. This, they were pretty remarkable engineering, from the 50s and from 40s.
That's Russian.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, some real stuff. And then actually this one is for you guys. So the power supplies on these are
dynamo
400 cycle power supplies. So these are something called a dynamotor in there. You don't usually see those anymore, but they took the place of big heavy duty power supplies, particularly in aircraft and tanks and things. So that's a shot of that. Some other homebrew stuff, just the usual whatever. So just a couple of shots there of what just the stuff. There's Hal. He's thinking he's buying that power supply, and I'm saying, do not buy that power supply.
Debbie Downer.
And then there's Steve in there. I don't remember what you were buying, but you were looking very intently at something across the
room. It was a power supply. It was a power supply.
Okay.
There's the back of me looking at something there.
Oh yeah, there's Gus there. I forgot there's Gus on the right up with his gray hair over there, and he can with his bungee cord.
Gray hair.
Yeah. No, that you're right, Gus. I forgot you were there also. And there's just a few other little pieces, and that was the premier radio. So BC 375, and they just had the case off, and you can see the tubes in there. And this one was a little bit beat up, but tubes are in good shape, and you just don't see that stuff like you anymore, except at the Ham Fest. So So that's it. So that's the Orange Ham Fest for you guys.
Cool.
And
Mark, two things we talked about this week. One, what we heard on the 2-meter radio, that the repeater signal, wanted to, if you had a comment about that, and you know, just kind of curious if you had any thoughts about that. And then the other thing was I asked anybody, and this is a pretty good cross section of people geographically. Last week, over populated areas of Houston, 6 Hueys were flying on deck across populated areas more than one night. And I thought a bomber was going over my house. And I finally caught them the third time they're going over. They were flying fast, and I'd never seen them that low over populated areas.
Yeah,
they
were Black Hawks as well up in the heights on 610. There's an
wow.
operation, there's a US Army defense exercise going on at the moment. I forget the name of it, but it actually finished yesterday. So you would have seen Black Hawks. There are also a couple of AH-64 longbows going over. They were using the street I'm on, Washington Avenue, as one of their things, but mostly they were following I-10 or going around the north of 610. So that was what you saw.
Yeah, they went right over my house, which was unusual. Usually they do go down Washington or I-10, but these were going diagonal, and I just had never seen that before. And everybody's going out the street going, "What the hell? Are we under attack?"
Yeah, it got a bit scary. I was looking at some of the local blogs, and there were a lot of very worried people around.
Hal, what do you estimate their altitude was?
They were on deck. They were as low as you could be legally.
Yeah, under 500 feet for damn sure.
It seemed like it.
Oh yeah, I've heard commercial aircraft come over at 500. You know, because that's as low as you can get without
the rules for Central Houston. The rules for Central Houston are 700 feet without special permission from air traffic control. But there are additional restrictions over Ellington and also, I think, more recently over Hooks. So if you see something, as you say, down on deck, as you were saying, how 100 feet, something like maybe 200 feet above sea level or above ground.
Loud.
Oh yeah.
Boy, cool. No whisper mode there for sure.
No whisper.
Yeah. So Hal, we had heard some. We were talking about some interference that was coming through on direct. And he was listening on 5.2, 146.5.2, and then there was sounded like a CWID and a repeater that had come through on there, and he called me, heard that, and apparently there was some repeater very close or that wasn't working properly, or some skip coming in on something somebody was playing around on 5.2, but there was a CWID and some chatter, and I was listening to it. It sounded like a repeater to me. So I wasn't able to figure out exactly what it was, but we were going to run through the calculation of intermodulation between different repeaters operating at the same time to see if there was some product that would have showed up on or near the 146.5.2. So, but that's just band conditions. I think in this case was what it. I didn't see anything on the band conditions. There was no propagation, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't some intermodulation product. So it's definitely out there. So I see Barry shaking his head there. So not common on 5.2, but there's a bunch of repeaters that their inputs are certainly close to there, and so something to look at. Most everybody is running their radios in channel mode, and I happen to be running everything. I run my radios on VFO mode on my all band. So, but didn't hear anything. Maybe it was just one of those fluky things. So, definitely there. And
Elijah, had you ever heard any of that on? You guys do a lot more simplex. Have you ever heard anything like that? Oops, you're still on a mute there, Elijah.
Yeah, he might have stepped away.
Yeah, he might have stepped away.
Okay.
So anyway, that's just something to look at. And then as band, there's, I think you guys have I've told you about the VHF propagation maps that show where at least the APRS units are active. And so sometimes I was checking that and I was looking at that and I didn't see anything, but you never know. It's got tropo, you got local band conditions, whatever, or just close by repeaters. And, it's every once in a while you just hear something weird, So Terry, or Elijah, the question is when you're on simplex a fair amount, you ever hear repeaters or other sorts of interference in there when you guys are on simplex?
No, we haven't as of yet. Ironically, I know I was talking to one of the guys after the net, and beholden, I guess there's a way you can actually listen to the way the frequency is coming in, but he was talking on the output frequency, and Wayne came on and just made us aware of that. But anyway, we were talking about tubes and that sort of thing. It's an interesting conversation, but that ended that. But that was the only, I guess, other thing happening unusually. But I know normally when I'm talking on simplex, we haven't gotten. It's just been straight. We haven't gotten any stray, from any other place. So
yeah,
everything has gone good simplex wise. But,
yeah. Well, the other thing is you got to keep the squelch down, because sometimes the it's right at the noise level. And so, if you don't have it off, the squelch will knock out the little bit of interference that's there. Gary?
Yeah. How many people use pan adapters on 2 meters and how? I know there are a dozen different ways to do it, but anybody use pan adapters?
SDR and RT-SDR, that little dongle. I mean, it's a terrible antenna that we got connected to it, but you could get an SDR play and get a nice antenna and actually not only monitor 2 meters, but also monitor everything.
Well, but that's interesting. I kind of know the options, but who actually is doing it? Is it a regular thing for 2 meter operators to have pan adapters somehow?
I mean, I run it on my 7000. So if I'm trying to, I play around with it, but I don't run it regularly.
Okay,
but,
so you're right. You're receiving and transmitting through a keyhole all the time. You just you don't know what's on either side of you without changing channels.
No,
right.
No, I do run it. I run the pan adapter on 2 meters on both FM and sideband, so I can see what's on there and I can change the span. I don't use it all the time because it just, I can usually just scan the I can set my radio to scan and hear what's going on. So, within the channels that are there. But I run the pan adapter on 2 meters and 440 on my ICOM 7000, but I don't, the performance of it isn't that great. And, if I'm scanning, if I'm looking for noise or I'm looking for stuff, I'm either running an SDR, I'm looking at it with an SDR, or I'm scanning with my, with my pan adapter built in. but it's not that common, you know. I mean, it's the sensitivity on the 7000 isn't very good, so it's much easier just to run it on a SDR. But you know, it's like, what if I want to find signals? I just tune the tune stuff manually, and because the pan adapter isn't that sensitive.
Well,
So
when you say SDR, which SDR?
I have like a USB-D SDR receiver, like it's like a let me see if I got one here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's the sensitivity of that thing?
So. You know, I just got to put a big antenna on it.
Is it a 12 bit or a 14 bit or what's
the? You know, I don't even know. It's not very sophisticated. Let's put it that way. It's a $15. It's a $15 part, you know, tool.
Yeah.
And I just use it mostly for finding noise in the shack, you know. So
yeah, okay.
SDR Play, or you know, is the kind of the you know, one of the better units. They're about $200.
Yeah, you definitely want to go for an SDR Play instead of this guy.
Yeah,
this is a $20 one, and it's called a dongle, and it'll actually go down to about 25 megahertz on up to it actually gets the hydrogen line, Gary, so it's 1420. I know it covers that, so it goes maybe 1500 megahertz. But anyway, but this is not worth it. Knowing what I know, I would go with the SDR Play. Just go ahead and buckle down and get their SDR Duo. I think it allows for 2 antennas.
Yeah, but I use mine for noise mainly and playing around with it. You can put a preamp on it and put a, you know, increase the performance, and you know, it was more of just to play around with it, play with the software than anything else. So, you know, it's kind of fun to play with.
So Gary, why are you asking about 2-meter pan adapter? You're thinking about this? You're mulling getting one, or?
I am missing one. I'm a pan adapter sort of guy.
Well, yeah, those SDR folks.
Pan adapters, I can never go back. It's addictive. It works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
so just so I'm clear, when I understand pan adapter, the pan adapter just means the waterfall display on a big screen, monitoring a big chunk of the frequency space, right?
Right.
That's correct. You have a much wider view of the spectrum, depending on how it's all set up. But you don't just listen to one little channel or slot or piece of the band.
Yeah, that's what really got me interested in amateur radio, is that with this guy, you can actually hear not only the weather, the national weather station at 162.400 or something, you can actually hear the aircraft bands. So you could monitor, I could monitor hobby and stuff.
I was more thinking about simplex contacts. I mean, there are a lot of channels where stuff goes on, but if you want to stretch out and take advantage of occasional propagation, you want to see what's happening, you know.
Yeah.
You'll never. There's no way you're going to see it unless.
Well, let me plug this in and show you. Well, no, I can't do it here. I'd have to plug it onto the other computer. Oh, by the way, that's another thing. These things usually require, or what I'm seeing, they really play well with Windows machines as opposed to Apple. So that's FYI.
That's
anyway,
all. Thank you.
No, absolutely. It's guys. Hopefully, this meeting was good for you. It was enjoyable. There's a lot of information here, and the next meeting, then, we're hoping that Mark will return with some great news. Well, not return. Go to Ralph. Return to Ralph with good news, and about the TransStar. But if not, it'll be another Zoom. And even if we have it at TransStar, we should have, you know, he'll be talking, Ralph will be talking and stuff, but I'll be filming and getting everything online.
Okay. Cool.
And next meeting, open up my calendar.
I think we were adjusting it for another show, weren't we, Mark? We were talking about that last time, that there was another fest coming up.
I think is Belton is the next show, but I wasn't planning on going to Belton.
What's the day of the next meeting?
I think it's the 26th.
Yeah.
March 26th.
So it's the same conflict if we wanted to call it a conflict.
Yeah, mostly a lot of the guys from the club go to Orange, so that one was usually what we shift. That we typically don't shift the meeting for Belton. And then the other thing that I forgot that I wanted to check was that Brazos Valley, the BVARC Hamfest is canceled, but there is a swap meet tailgate. Let me just see when that date was.
Well, Mark is looking at I want to thank Stephen for an excellent year of service. He's always sharing stuff with us and vote of confidence. And now he can go to the bathroom freely, knowing that he will not be reelected immediately. But I really appreciate everything he's brought to the club, and I know that Ralph will always share stuff, everything he's doing. He always shares it with us, and that's the thing that really helps a lot. And hope that everybody shares what they know and discover, and bring it to the Tuesday nights and to the monthly meetings. Let us know what you're seeing. You're all ambassadors of this club, and kind of need to hear what you're doing away from the club. So thanks again, Stephen. Everybody give him a thumbs up.
Yeah,
thumbs up.
Thanks, Chris.
That's an audio one.
Oh, okay. I don't see the Hamfest. Okay, yeah, March Houston Hamfest. Hold on.
So no Texas City this year?
Yeah, 2022 is not happening here, so it's
canceled.
But there is a report of a tailgate.
Yeah, it's a tailgate.
I just don't see it. Yeah, I know that it's here someplace, but I think it's on the schedule. But I don't.
I saw part of their weekly net the other day, and they were saying that is confirmed. They've got the park confirmed, and it's a park over in the Sugarland area, I believe.
What's the date?
That I don't know.
Okay, we got Tuesday. We can catch it.
We'll find it out.
Yeah, we'll find that here because that was usually in March, is when it is when it is. So I think it's early in March. I'm
thinking the 19th, but I'll check with some of the guys that I talked to. And Mark, you also check, and between us, we'll find out when.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Guys, hopefully this meeting was good for you. I'm ready to call it for an adjournment, unless we have any more filibustering by Gary. Sorry, I just had to make a jab. Sorry. You have to give me.
I actually want more filibuster. As it were. I just want to remind everybody about, if you're net hungry for nets, there's the Stir Crazy net on the 9.4 machine, the BVARC machine, every weekday from 12 to whenever. And then, of course, we've got the traffic net on Monday, the other traffic net on Thursday on the 147.000 machine. And then we got the, of course, the BVARC net, the RNet on Tuesday night. We also have, for those that can hit at the Johnson Space Center, also on Tuesday. And was it MROG, the Fort Bend, also. So there's a number of interesting things happening. So, and we can always use the extra support since we've started up the CTEC swap meet net on Thursday.
What's the repeater on that one, Elisha?
That's the 145.17. They just moved over.
Yep.
Yes.
8 p.m. on Thursday. Yep, got it.
Yes,
I'll
8 p.m.
try to put together the minutes here. Sounds good.
Anyway, that's my comment. Yeah.
No, good deal.
Forget about the Alaska Morning Net on 444.300.
Oh, yeah, we can't
That is a fun listen.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, for sure. Especially for those folks just getting out in the hobby, that's a very good venue. And hey, Gary, are you are on the Reflector, right? Gary?
Yes.
I want to send you an email because I did something mathematical that you might find interesting. So I don't know if I have your email address or do I look in QRZ?
A proof that 2 plus 2 is actually 5 and not 4 would be interesting.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and sidestep that. I'm not sure what that was on the ground, but we're not going to step on it. So what I was going to tell you, though, is the last time when we went to that banquet over there and we were enjoying the vino, we were talking about the magnetic field and how it actually comes out as a relativistic transformation of the electric field, depending on your frame of reference. Well, I did that on paper and I recorded it on YouTube, a 2-part YouTube. So I figured I would let you know because that's what we're talking about. So you might be keen.
Oh.
And it's not 2 plus 2 equals to 5. No, it's magnetic field, relativistic consequence of the electric field depending on your frame of reference and the Lorentz transformation.
Exactly. Yeah. What do they call it? I can't remember. There's another word for those. Time shrinks.
Length contraction or something. Time dilation. Anyway, so yeah, I was going to send you that on an email, but because it was a bit too mathematical. But now that you know it, I don't have to write an email. So there we are.
Well, okay. I mean, I've seen the derivation before on several.
Yeah, but you
videos.
haven't seen my derivation, Gary. It's so much better. Anything that you've seen before.
Okay.
I like that advertising. That's good.
Only especially for Gary. He, yeah, I feel very, very, very at ease talking mathematics with him.
Hey, Stephen,
right.
Hello.
Stephen, since you're talking math, there is an error, a major error in the old equation, pi r squared.
Okay.
Pi r round, cornbread r squared.
Oh God! That one, Ralph. That one I would expect from Hal, but from you, I'm shocked. That's a Hal. That's a Hal.
That was my 6th grade math instructor's joke for the day.
And I love pies, either square or round. It don't make no difference to me. Just give me a slice.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess, I don't know, while we're on the subject of math, Steve, are you aware of the squaring the circle issues that have occurred over the millennia?
Yeah, it's actually an ancient problem, right? It was actually one that probably led to the deducing of an approximation for pi, because that's what essentially you're getting to.
Yeah, right. But there was an Illinois legislature about 150 years ago that decided that they were tired of all this nonsense about pi, and they passed a law permanently defining it to like 4 decimal places or something. And that was to be used for all future calculations in the state.
Interesting. Define pi. Interesting.
Well, as a fixed length decimal number, which meant it had to be rational, not transcendental. Yeah. Oh dear, what does that mean?
Yeah, but there's no definition of barbecue.
Yeah, well, Illinois got their act together.
There's no definition of a barbecue? Wait, am I missing something?
Nope.
Kansas
Some
City,
people
Texas.
think it's because nobody agrees on what it is. Is it the sauce? Is it the briquettes? Is it the grill? Is it the, so they gave up. There is no definition.
Okay. Something good to eat is what I think it is.
Jens, talking about something good to eat. My son made some pancakes, and I need to go. So,
there you go.
So anyway, great talking to you guys. I can leave this message. I can leave the meeting on, and you guys can continue. You know.
Okay. Yeah.
Exchanging ideas. I'm just gonna.
I gotta go. Don't forget the trivia net. I completely forgot about the trivia net.
When is that?
It's 11 o'clock Pacific time, 1 o'clock our time right now. It's on the wind system, the 444.300.
Hey Elisha, is that Monday through Friday, or Monday through 7 days a week, or what?
7 days a week. It has never gone off. It has never skipped.
And that's 444.3, right?
444.300, yeah.
Got it. That's the same one where the Alaska Morning Net takes place. Okay.
Right, that's the same one with the Alaskan. All right, then. It's been fun.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Really enjoyed it.
I did, for sure.
All right, see you guys.
Okay.
Pleasure talking to you, Gary, as usual.
Okay. Anytime. If you have something you want to email to me, please do.
Thanks.
Oh, so what's the? Of course, Barry. Gary, since you're online, what's your email address, or should I look it up in QRZ? I'll send you the 2 videos.
I'm on QRZ. Yeah, it's GA sitting at Comcast.net.
Okay, I'll look it up in QRZ.
Yeah, it's on QRZ though.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. All right, guys. Great talking to you. Have a good one. Congratulations, Ralph, once again.